We are live. Hello, Justin. How's it going?
Dr. Ritter, what's up, man?
I am pumped to have you on to learn a little bit more about BrEpic and how you built it and how you live your life and how you're living for yourself and all that jazz. So thank you again.
You're welcome.
So just a little sidebar. You were chatting a little bit just now on Clubhouse. You had an event there. I was wondering, with your expertise in PR, can you give just a slight summary of I guess the usage of social media platforms or kind of the innovation that's happening right now?
Yeah, Clubhouse is a big deal. I don't really get excited about anything. I'm pretty down the middle, pretty dry. But with that app, it's pretty exciting because there's access to the top people in the world, and it's just live audio. People love audio, and so I hosted a room with Lee Richter, who's in Strategic Coach with me, which is one of the top entrepreneurial groups in the world. In fact, it is the top one, and she's 100% multiplier, and I'm 100% simplifier. So we had a really cool group with some of the top people in the world talking about multiplying, simplifying, and gratitude. So it was a really interesting discussion.
Okay, you can't drop a bomb like that and have me not go into it. So talk a little bit about what this means to simplify and why is it important?
Yeah, so I'm just flying the plane up here, and I always laugh because sometimes, and you did not, but sometimes people send me questions for the podcast. I go, one, I'm not going to read any of these, and two, I'm going to say something, and then they'll never ask any of those questions because it's whatever. And so again, this is through Strategic Coach. You're either a simplifier or a multiplier, and I'm just a simplifier. So I hear all this blah 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 blah, and then I just simplify it into patterns. Or I can talk to someone for an hour and it's blah blah blah, and I can turn it into a 400-word story that media really cares about and general public cares about. So I just simplify everything. And then there's other entrepreneurs. Many of them are multipliers. So whether that's ADD diagnosed or undiagnosed, they just take the simplicity and they multiply it to a gajillion people over 15,000 different channels. I just like to simplify everything, and they like to multiply everything.
The simplification of a story, or like pulling out the pieces that resonate with the person that's speaking or the people that might be listening to it or hear from it, like that's a coaching skill set. Like that's something that leaders need to learn. That's something that managers need to learn. I feel like everyone needs to learn that when it comes to conversation. Do you know how you've honed that, or is it just innate?
Yeah, so in terms of getting people in news media at the very highest level on a global level and connecting people at the world's highest level, there are very few people in the world that are better at it than I am. It's my two superpowers, and I have no other skills besides that. So it's a superpower, genius level skill, and I just can hear all these things and immediately know. Like I said, I don't get excited unless it's worth getting excited about. So when someone says something that's interesting or newsworthy or storyworthy, my brain just goes ding, and then I just remember it, and then I just incorporate it very quickly into a story. It's very simple for me. I mean, I wrote my book in 43 days. It was easy. I can't install a light bulb, well, barely, and I can barely do things that most people could very easily do. I just can't do them.
Okay, so I know a little bit about your backstory in building the company to where it is today. Can you go back to the beginnings, to the infancy, to the seedling stage, and
Yeah.
kind of give us a rundown?
Sure. So I had my job salary cut in half, couldn't find a job, incorporated. While I was working full time at half the salary, I reached out to 5,000 people to get my first 5 clients, and I got my 5th client, resigned from my job. And then a couple days later, Robert Feeder, he's the top media columnist in the Midwest of the United States, did a story. I'd started my own firm. So that was February 10th, 2017 to June 5th, 2017.
So it sounds like a ton of hard work and outreach for
It's entrepreneur.
clients. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, most people can't do that. That's why they don't become entrepreneurs. I mean, that was just to get the company started. And most people, you're either born with that type of willpower and work ethic, or you're not. You just are.
So you do that 5,000 outreach. It gives you the opportunity, the client base, to leave your position that already was kind of a lost leader. Like you cut your salary in half, and then you get an article written about you, which I imagine helps promote, right? Maybe bring on some new clients. But so you had like the first hurdle. I imagine that's like the first
hurdle. Yeah, that's some hurdle.
Yeah, it's a big hurdle. But I think with a lot of entrepreneurs, it's like your hardest clients, you some people say like your hardest client's going to be your first and your 10th, and some people say your easiest client's going to be your first one. But I think it's the first and 10th. But what would you say would be the second or third hurdle, or if you want to just talk about right now in current events?
The second or
hurdle.
third hurdle, I mean, so starting a business from nothing with zero, I have zero business background. And I have a global company, a top, credible PR firm that only works with the best people in the world. So most people can't even, well, thanks, but that's, my brain is able to do that. I'm able to put aside the overwhelming rejection when you start a company, overwhelming rejection. I'm able to deal with the depression and handle that. I'm able to deal with an incredible level of anxiety. I mean, so entrepreneurs, they can just thrive in that and overcome that. Most people can't do that. That's why they get a job or they fizzle out in this. But the very top entrepreneurs, which are those are the conversations I have 5 to 10 times a day. They just are able to handle that. So it's endless hurdles. There's never second hurdle, third. So when my job salary got cut in half, by the way, that's one of the best days of my life. But at the time, it was the worst in corporate. I built my entire career to get to Chicago, and then 5 minutes, my salary's cut in half, and I knew my career was over. So that's not even the top 50 worst days of being an entrepreneur. That's not even the top 50. So entrepreneur life, people think this is like easy or sunshine and rainbows, and to see all the success my company's having. They have no idea. People have no idea what this life is actually like until you go through it. So hurdles, I mean, every day is a hurdle. It's a hurdle. That's all it is a big hurdle.
Yeah, there's a certain level of I don't want to say like resilience, I guess. But
yeah,
something you mentioned though about kind of not having that excitability. I think for some reason I tend to see that as a superpower as well, because failure is just progress, success is just progress. It's just like you've set your sights on something and you're working towards it, and everything else that happens in between is just kind of like, okay, that's just life. That's just my job.
Yeah, that's a good point. So shiny object. A lot of entrepreneurs, again, whether they're ADD or not, they get themselves into trouble because they're all over the place. And shiny object, they see all these things. So I am not shiny object. I am incredibly focused on working with one certain type at the very highest level person and doing one thing at the very highest level. So less is more. And then I just raise my rates exponentially to weed out nonsense, weed out people that ask what do you cost or charge, because those people are toxic. And I just work with people at the highest level that look at everything as an investment, and they just invest heavily. So it just
that velvet rope policy in a way, where it's like, this is my ideal client and I'm going to weed away all the crud, all the stress, and just focus on this one person.
Yes.
When you were first starting, was that something that was already kind of a focus, or was it more so like just anything and anyone?
No. So that's a good question. So again, I just simplify and see patterns. So when you start a business, you so I reached out to 5,000 people to get my first 5 clients. I had no idea what I was doing. I still don't know what an escort means. Like, I have no business. No, I didn't even know what an entrepreneur was until I started my company. And so you get to give. So you're giving a little bit, but you need to get more. You need to get more. And then you give to get. You give more to get a little. And now you're at the point where I'm at. You just give to give. I just give to the top 1.1% of mindsets, because those are the only people that understand my brain. And then they provide tremendous value to my life, whether through intros or they become clients, or just they stimulate my high fact finding brain. But no. You're either an entrepreneur or you're not, but you can build your mindset every single day. So I just build my mindset every single day and hang out with the top people in the world every single day. Because when you hang out with the top people and you're in groups with the top people, you just become them. Everybody rises together.
Yeah, you're hitting on something that was actually my next question. How do you target that top 1%? How do you get respected by that top 1%? How do you get trusted by them?
Yeah, so I'm in 3 of the top entrepreneurial groups in the world, and they're all 5-figure investments to be in there. So when you make the investment to be in a room like that, you become someone like that. And so that's why if someone asks, what do you cost or charge, they're immediately expelled from my network, because they're looking at things in a transactional way, not a transformational way. And that's why I'm so direct and intentional with how I talk during these conversations, because it'll eliminate all the cost scarcity people and it only attract people that understand what I'm talking about. And then I just raise my rates exponentially because it just weights all that up. And so you get what you pay for. And so if you know that you provide tremendous value and deliver tremendous results to a certain type of person, then those people will invest a great deal of money in your company.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of entrepreneurs that try to focus on the top 1%, or maybe they're in those groups, then they're new to those groups, might have a little bit of imposter syndrome or might be questioning themselves if they fit in. And I was wondering, I guess, any advice to those groups, to those individuals, those entrepreneurs that are trying to build a business at that caliber?
Yeah, so I know I fit in that group.
That's powerful. Yeah.
Yep. And in terms of connecting people on a global level and getting people news to the highest level, there are very few people in the world that are better at than I am. And so that is not arrogance at all. That's complete confidence in my superpower genius. All that does is attract other confident people. And so again, you can just develop your mindset to become ultra confident. My mindset is impervious.
And so how do you feed your mindset on, like, whenever you need to? Are there lulls? Are there highs? Is there just pretty consistent basis?
Endless hurdles.
Yeah.
And endless. So it's interesting because, again, I'm in some of the top entrepreneurial groups in the world, and some of the, people that are wealthier than God, they ask me for advice. And it's kind of funny because that's why, like, this group, Abundance 360, I'm in, 99% of the folks are running $10 million to $10 billion companies, and they let me in there because I made the investment to be there. And then my mindset and network are at that level or higher. And so I talk like this and I get the results like this, and those people want to work with me. It's very simple. And, but again, most people live in cost scarcity because they're surrounded by cost scarcity. I just have no tolerance for cost scarcity. I just only want to surround myself with people that really get it. But I just work on my mindset every single day. And then I strive to be like people that are higher level than me. I like to be the dumbest person in the room. And I just like to be the dumbest person in the room and absorb all the knowledge. And then I'm not afraid to be confident in my abilities.
Mm-hmm. It is simple. It is very simple, but it is not easy, which at least,
right.
it can be, I think, for certain people, but a lot of other individuals, it takes a lot of hard work and studying and experience and qualification. Yeah. Validation.
Right. So it took, one of the chapters in my book is it takes 2 full years to really figure things out when you start a business. And it's interesting. I talked to some folks at the YPO, and for folks who don't know what YPO is, that's a very high level organization. They actually say, it actually takes longer than 2 years. But again, most people aren't going to put in the 2 years they're not going to do that. That's why they can't do this. I put in the work. I just put in the work, and I have the genetics, and it's in my blood to put in the work. I'm happy to explain that if you'd like me to, but it's in my blood to put in the work.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about hurdles, but I guess I want to move away from those and talk a little bit about successes. So can you share with us some of the most recent successes that you've had and how you react to great success?
So here's the really interesting thing that you just asked is that, boy, that's a good question, because there's a professor at Northwestern University, and she's doing a study of entrepreneur brains. And so professor at Northwestern University doing a study on entrepreneur brains, and I did the thing, and she's like, oh, your brain's weird even for an entrepreneur at the highest level. So that's a top professor at a top school doing a study on the top entrepreneurs, and she said my brain's weird even for an entrepreneur. So I think it is weird because my company's already surpassed my wildest dreams, like a millionfold. And yet I've accomplished nothing. And that's not a bad thing. Here's why that's not a bad thing, is because now I've seen the people that are out there that want to work with me and want to collaborate with me. It's insanely high level collaboration with the top people on the planet. So I've barely scratched the surface of what this company is capable of and how it can really help people and get the word out for these amazing businesses and brands. And so I've actually really accomplished nothing yet. Now that said, I am tremendously grateful for the success my company has had. And I'll give you an example. Every Monday through Friday, I start my day. Let me take that back. Every day, I start my day by doing a grateful journal for my wife. So the first thing I do every morning is I write a grateful journal, what I'm grateful for my wife, because she's a human being who's made me slightly human, like barely human but a human, barely, but a human. So I'm grateful for her. That's how I start my day. And I end the day with a grateful journal on LinkedIn to my about 25,000 followers, all the things I'm grateful for. And then I just tag the people. I'll include this as well and tag you, but very grateful. So when you're grateful all the time, it's hard to not be grateful. So I'm just constantly focused on being grateful, even though I haven't accomplished anything yet.
The definition that you haven't accomplished anything, and then also the focal point on how do you focus on gratitude. If you keep your mindset in that tunnel vision, how does that impact your life and how you react to those around you and how you react to things that you face on a daily basis? Can you define, because I'm not sure our listeners may understand what it means to have accomplished nothing.
Yeah, so there's a test called the PRINT test, PRINT. Not a lot of people take it, but the very top, very, 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 very top people do. And the PRINT test is your unconscious motivators, the stuff under the tip of the iceberg in the water. So people see the tip, they don't see under the tip. So my PRINT score matches the very top entrepreneurial score for the most part. So I'm an 8.3. My 8 is my major unconscious motivator is to be strong and self-reliant. And my minor unconscious motivator is to succeed and achieve. So I am constantly motivated to be strong and self-reliant and to succeed and achieve constantly. No matter how successful my company ever gets, my major unconscious motivator will be strong and self-reliant, and the minor will be to succeed and achieve. So I will always want to succeed and achieve.
That is really interesting.
Yep.
So then with that mindset, how do you plan what you want to do next? Like what you want, who you want to focus on, what impact you want to create, what business decisions do you want to make?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So again, weird brain even for an entrepreneur. And the first line in my book is, if you don't put your family first, put the book down, because I can't help you. So everything's around my family. All this other stuff's meaningless to me without my family. And so I spend a lot of time with my family. And I only spend my time with a certain type of person at a certain level, and byproduct is my company's insanely profitable. So I'm actually tremendously focused already on who I want to talk to and what my company does with them. So that's a big key to my company's success is I just do what I like to do and what I'm good at every 100% of the day. 100%, not 99, 100%.
And looking at the evolution of your schedule, and how you say you wake up and you do the gratitude journal, you work, you do the gratitude journal at night. How has that evolved or changed with the success of your business? Or has family always been first? Or has there been sacrifices at times? I'm just really curious how it's...
No. Families, no. So I know a lot of billionaires and mega millionaires, and I always ask them, how's your family? And many, not always, but many times they're like, I never saw my family. I never had a family, and I just hear the pain. I'm not that. I will never be that person. No. So my father died when I was 13. That's what I was saying. This is in my blood. So he was a soldier in World War II, and so he'd be 104 if he was alive now. And so he fought it's called the Battle of the Hurtgen Forest, which was a very deadly battle. And he kept a diary of those experiences somehow. And so that's my most cherished possession. I don't really care about material things at all. And I found it after he died. And so I write exactly like he does. Boom, 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 boom. Just inform and entertain, inform it. So that I'm born with a story. And so my mom was 27 when I was born. My dad was 61. So there's a 34-year difference. So my drunk driver on the expressway swerved across the median, hit my dad head on. The drunk driver was killed. My dad wasn't. He broke every bone in his body, but he survived. And so my mom was his nurse. And so she literally nursed him back to health. And my mom, I've never met anyone with more hustle than my mom, ever, in my entire life. So you combine endless hustle with genius writing brain, battlefield soldier. My dad was an attorney in the Nuremberg trials. So you combine that, that's what I'm saying. I'm just genetically programmed to be able to do this.
Just taking it all in for a second.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
So people don't know that's what I mean. So like I talk, and that's why I'm in these groups, because really the only people that understand me are these really highest level thinking people, because they're all people like me. We're aliens within our own family, aliens within our own community, and aliens within our own vertical. So we have to find people that actually understand us, fellow aliens. So people who understand me are fellow aliens, and they're the ones running the most successful companies on earth, or they will be, because they're not normal human beings at all.
When did you might not know the answer to this question, but when did you realize that you were an alien?
Yeah, so I've always been an alien. I just didn't know it until I became an entrepreneur. So when I was a journalist, they gave me weird jobs. They didn't know what to do with me. I live and grew up in the North Shore of Chicago, very affluent community for the most part. And this is the cheapest, penny pinching, cost conscious. People drive nice cars around here. The cheapest people, everything's a cost. Everything's a cost. And I'm not like that. Everything's an investment. So I'm alien here. And so that's why I had to look for people outside of the North Shore. I had to find. That's why I talk to people around the world. I just had to find other people that understand me.
Everything is an investment. And if like that mindset, that frame of reference, I think it's magical. With people, with some listeners that might be trying to manage finances or question investments that they might be making, how do they use that thought pattern to influence and create a positive impact in their life?
Yeah, so people with the wrong mindset make excuses. People with the right mindset make the investment. That's the difference. So I've had multiple billionaires who are clients and multiple people who are dead broke that made significant investments with my company to get the word out, because they have the right mindset. On this side of the world, there are no excuses. You either do it, make the investment, or you complain about it and you never get it done. And so that's why most people are miserable, is because they just make an excuse. They don't make the investment.
It is surprising because I'm in some groups and environments of, again, like those 1%ers that you were discussing, how surprised I am from this mentality of like these larger investment options or these choices to spend money on developing certain things. Mm-hmm. That is how you make exponential. That's how you exponentially grow. Where, before as an entrepreneur, I was like, I'm going to do everything myself. That's too expensive. I'm just going to do this piecemeal. And like the gains that you can make are just, they're not even comparable.
Of course. So the three groups I'm in, they're all 5-figure investments. Strategic coach just by itself, I'd invest $50K a year in it easily, just a year, because it's a good investment. And so I'm glad you said that, because people have really enjoyed my book, but the number one thing they've gotten out of it, that they've gotten out of it, not me, but that people who have read it, they said was the chapter that only work with people who look at things as investments, not costs. I only work. If anyone ever asks me what do you cost or charge, they disappear immediately. They're just transactional, and so they're toxic, but they're also surrounded by cost scarcity toxic people. So it's a waste of everyone's time.
I remember once I read something about, how you buy is how you buy is how you sell, or how you buy is how people buy from you.
100%. That's 100, dude. So that's what I mean. And that's all it is. And so I'm perfectly fine saying no to someone if they don't match my mindset and they don't have an investment mentality. I'm not going to work with someone like that. So I don't sell anything. I just buy the right people that I want to work with, and they just pay me to buy them. That's all it is. They're just paying me for me to buy their time. It's fascinating. It's fascinating what you just said, because that's all it is.
Yeah. So how would someone make the most of a larger investment? I know that's a very broad question.
Yeah. So an investment's an investment. So if you make an investment, you follow through on the investment. And so I have high quick start, boom, 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 and I have high follow through, which is very rare for an entrepreneur. Most entrepreneurs are boom, 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 and they have no follow through, so they're all over the place. So when I make an investment, I follow through on it. So these groups I'm in, I invest a great deal of my time in that, talking to those people and or listening to the products that they put or the podcasts that they do or reading the materials and then hanging out with people that are in those groups. So I actually invest time heavily in those type of rooms, because when you're in that room, you become the people in the room.
Yeah, I'm envisioning this community. Like if you buy in and get accepted to one of these larger groups, and environment, right? Environment can dictate how successful you are. And everyone, you know for a fact that everyone living around you is of a higher 1% caliber.
Everyone.
All you need to do is go outside and knock on the door and have a conversation. Like are you willing to do that? And
Yes, so there you go. Are you willing to do it? So everyone in my network not only is willing, they'll make the investment to do it. That's why you either make an excuse or you make the investment. There are no excuses. You just make the investment.
Mm-hmm. Great point.
Right. Well, again, I had zero business background, none. Now I have a global company, top brands, top minds. I only work with so that's all it is. So if you have the right mindset, it attracts the right network, creates the right opportunities. Right mindset leads the right network, creates the right opportunities. I haven't done outbound sales or funnels in years, and I never will have to again, because I just have the right mindset that attracts all these amazing people and network, and they create the right opportunities for me.
That's the only math equation anyone needs to know.
That's it.
Ever again.
Right. That's it. And so thanks for saying that, because that's what I say all the time. I go, this is it. If you have the right mindset, it creates the right network, creates the right opportunities.
Yeah. There's a lot of options being sold to entrepreneurs today and what they need. Right. And literally what you just said is all you need.
Right. Well, I'm 100% simplifier, and most entrepreneurs are multipliers with ADD, and they're all over the place. So I just simplify all that. And so that's why all these incredible, very wealthy people want to talk to me, because they're like, how do you do that? And I go, I just simplify everything. And if someone's going to take valuable time away from my family or my kids, if they're going to annoy me, I just won't work with them. So that's how I simplify it. That my baseline is this person going to annoy me and take away time with my children and my wife? That's it.
I feel like that's like I have nothing else to ask. I'm happy. I'm happy with the interview. I'm happy where we've gotten. I guess, do you have any last words of advice or any last thoughts that you're having?
Okay, yeah. So work with only people who look at things as investments, not cost. Do what you like to do and what you're good at. Again, a lot of entrepreneurs, they try to be everything for everyone. I only do what I like to do and what I'm good at, and I only work with one type of person. Less is more.
And it sounds like a really enjoyable way to live, which is
100%.
It's people work to get to a point where they're happy to live, where it sounds like, well, if you put, like, for yourself, using an example, put family first, do what you love.
Yep.
Keep things simple. Don't take on clients you don't want to take on.
No.
Okay. I've already had a great life without building a global, successful, business at the start.
That's correct. And it's again, so with my book, a lot of people do all these giant dedications. I didn't even dedicate it to my kids. I dedicated it to my wife, because she's the exact opposite personality as me. So imagine the exact opposite personality as me talking to you. That would be my wife. She's kind, loving, empathetic, community, rules, order, meetings, inclusive. I'm the complete opposite of that. And so she's given me a normal, functional life. And then she will not let me, and I'm thankful for this, she will not let me stray into where many entrepreneurs stray, where they just don't even think about their family. And because of my wife and because my dad died when I was young, I will never be that person. So I'm very thankful for her, because otherwise it would be a total disaster.
Well, next time we're having you both on for dating advice and marriage advice.
Well, I don't know if you saw that, but we've been nationally recognized for that somehow. But
I need to look this up. No, I haven't seen that yet.
52 weeks, 52dates.com. Yeah, we were on the Today Show and all that stuff.
I'm looking it up. It's coming on next.
Oh yeah, it's kind of, yeah. You'd be like, why did she marry him? That's what. So I used to have all these parties, and I will again, but all these like client appreciation parties and all these cool things, and so people would meet my wife, and my wife is really really pretty, and she's a doctor, and like this kind social, and so that they're like, wow, your wife is amazing. They're like flabbergasted, and I'm like, yeah, it doesn't make any sense, but she did say yes. She did say yes. So I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, and she keeps saying yes,
Yeah, I
and,
was like,
and
thank
every
God,
day you're grateful.
thank God.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Justin. This has been awesome. It's been a
Yeah,
pleasure.
really appreciate it.
And I'll be tagging you and putting your links in the post and such too. So for our listeners, though, I wanted to get a hold of you, read your
Oh,
book.
here's my book, by the way.
There we go. Awesome. Epic Business. And how do they find you? How do they hear from you?
Yeah, so we're on LinkedIn or on a podcast, but Justin Breen on LinkedIn, and it's always funny because we never talk about my company, which is the funniest thing because it doesn't matter. But my company's name is BrEpic. I think you did say it once, so global PR firm.
I gotta say it 7 more times.
Well, no, it's just funny
BrEpic.
because it doesn't matter. That is
Yeah.
my company's name. So
I mean, that's another business lesson, though, right there.
doesn't matter what you do; it matters who you are. Nobody
Mhm.
cares about what you do.
Yeah. They'll figure it out if they like it enough.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, thank you again.